Welcome to my channel, everyone. If you enjoy the following stories, please remember to like and subscribe for more content. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts and if there are any particular kinds of stories you would like to hear in the future. Now let's begin. Never alone. What I'm about to tell you is something that I've spent years trying and failing to put out of my mind. It's the reason why my family moved from my hometown when I was little. It's the reason why I've rarely been able to sleep soundly without moving something heavy in front of my bedroom door. I've been through multiple therapists, all with little impact, because of this story. I'm not very confident in the idea of sharing it here being helpful, but I'm getting desperate. When I was 8, my parents went out to dinner to celebrate their anniversary. We lived on a secluded piece of land on the outskirts of town. The house wasn't far off from the state mental hospital set up in the forest. One of several reasons I've wondered, looking back, why my parents didn't think to keep any real weapons in the house. The town itself already had an ugly crime rate, and we lived in an area where it'd take the cops like 15 minutes to reach us. Not the most ideal spot. I'll never be making the same mistake, I can tell you that much. Anyways, my folks left me and my twin brother with our babysitter that night. She was the same babysitter we had several times before, and that was for good reason. She always kept us occupied and was easy to get along with. Truth be told, she mostly sticks in my mind due to the former. I was sort of a paranoid child. If you've spent any significant time in Haven, that likely doesn't surprise you. There was just something about that place that felt unnatural. Like things were there that shouldn't have been. Especially when I'd spend any time near the forest. Whatever was hiding there, I could always feel its eyes on me. And I could feel them from inside my house that night as well. Over the course of the next few hours after my folks left, I tried not to focus on it. I tried to distract myself by playing games and watching TV, my brother doing the same. It worked better than you might be thinking. While the uneasy feeling never really went away, it was easy to ignore. The real trouble came at bedtime. Me and my brother weren't quite tired enough to fall asleep yet, so the babysitter let us stay up a bit later to watch TV and wind down in our shared bedroom. She flipped through several different channels before stumbling across an emergency news broadcast. The reporter said that a crazed murderer had escaped from the nearby hospital after killing one of the guards and was on the run from local authorities. He was believed to still be in the area and was armed with an old hatchet. Police were urging residents to lock their doors and windows because the man was extremely dangerous. To call this news unsettling would be quite an understatement and, of course, the babysitter instantly tried to change the channel to something more kid-friendly. It didn't help much. After about 10 more minutes, she decided we'd stayed up long enough. As she tucked us in, we kept asking her if she'd remembered to lock the house up. She assured us that she'd locked everything before saying goodnight and heading back to the living room to wait for my parents to come home. Eventually, my brother and I fell into restless sleeps. After maybe 15 minutes, we woke up to what the sounds of thumping and crashing. At first, we didn't even know where it was coming from, but as we grew wider awake, we realized the sounds were coming from downstairs. Out of curiosity, we decided to sneak into the hallway and peer down into the living room. We both still wish we hadn't. In what little light the TV provided to the otherwise dark room, we saw our babysitter, writhing in pain on the floor. She had her hands pressed against her stomach and blood was leaking from between her fingers. But that wasn't all. The hooded man responsible was standing close by, lazily holding a bloody hatchet in his right hand. Me and my brother stood frozen in fear until we saw him lift his hat, at which point we ran back to our room and blocked the door off with the room's bookshelf. All we could do was wait and pray. For at least 45 minutes, we had to stay deadly silent while it sounded like something was being slowly dragged up the staircase. We didn't leave the room until we heard our mom screaming out our names in fear. When we felt safe enough to come out, we were met with a gruesome scene. Lying at the top of the stairs, in a pool of blood, was our babysitter. Her arms were cut off at the elbows, her legs cut off at the knees. She'd used her bloody stumps to drag herself up the stairs. My family ended up moving shortly after that. I never found out whether her killer was caught again or not. I never found out what became of that situation in the end. And honestly, I'm not sure if I want to. That's the least of my problems now anyway. It's been nearly 12 whole years since that night, and the image of that man is still stuck in my mind. And that doesn't seem to be the only thing. Over the last few months, I've been seeing him in fleeting glimpses around my house. It's not just him anymore, though. There's always this creature lurking nearby. It's tall, pale, and faceless. It's always facing me when I see it, standing completely still except for when it moves its head to follow me. On the rare occasion it moves its limbs, it sounds like bones being snapped in half. Every time I've tried to catch it on camera to have proof for the police, all I've picked up is static and an inhuman voice that nobody else seems to hear. No, calling it one voice isn't very accurate. It's countless voices, all speaking in unison, and none of them sound even remotely human. The nightmares certainly don't help. More often than not, I've been waking up with several scratches and bruises covering me. I know they have plans for me, and I don't know how to stop them. Is there anyone else out there this is happening to? Can anyone help me?